Hello, my front porch friend. It's so good to see you today. Well, Palmer just wanted to drop by and give you a quick hello. Palmer, you want to say hello to the front porch friends? You know, I just need to somehow bottle this smell and make a perfume out of it so the rest of the entire world would just have to share it. So now he and I would much rather be in the woods right now, but I'm afraid we're stuck on the front porch. That's not so bad though. It's raining, so we'll have to go inside. That's okay. I have a word for you. I do want to share. So come on with me. I believe it's going to be an encouraging word for someone, actually someone very in particular. Now, Palmer, you cannot go, buddy. He's going to have to stay outside for now. So let's go inside. Let me see if I can slither my way in. All right, I think we made it. You may have to ignore some misses. I've got my tea ready. You need to get yours ready too. All right, let's sit down and talk. All right, now, as always, I have been just leaning in to hear what the Lord wanted to say to you. And actually, it's been over the last couple of days. I've been hearing this word for someone. And it was like the Holy Spirit just gave me his heart to pray for you. And it was like I could hear your thoughts. I mean, it was like he was sharing with me what he was hearing somebody say. And in essence, it's just a lot of questions. Why? Somebody that's really going through a tough place. It's been a season. It's been a while. And you're just left saying, why? Why is this happening to me? I do not understand. God, I do not understand. I don't. And, you know, there's those times in our life when you're just asking those questions of not only why is it happening, but when? When is it ever going to end? And even truly, will it ever end? I battled with that myself. You know, am I just going to have to learn to just live unhappy the rest of my life? I actually battled that at one season in my life because I just felt like the pain was just unrelenting. Am I just going to have to learn to live with this? Well, today I was looking through the drawers in my bedroom and found this old journal of mine that actually is a journal from that season, actually when Lindsay was gone. And I had written, you know, many of the feelings. In fact, I wrote in my book several of the journal entries from this journal. I never dreamed I would share publicly when I was writing it. But I just opened my journal today, and it was confirmation that I was hearing the right thing because I was reading from my own words in 2014, actually. And I just began to read these questions I too was dealing with in that season. Father, I said, here I sit. I'm in one of the greatest struggles, my greatest struggles of believing. How do I believe? I'm trying, I think. I'm tired. Then I said, God, I don't understand. This pain of soul is terrible. And I do not understand. Where are you? Why? Why is this so hard? Why isn't deliverance manifested? I'm sure of your will. I know the enemy is not greater than you. Is this my fault, God? Is it my fault for not believing right? Because your word does not lie. It's not you, so is it me? I'm asking for help today. Please, please help me. And it just goes on and on. I'm only reading that to say I've been there, as really all of us have many times in our life. And whenever we are in those places, as one of the old saints called the dark night of the soul, I wouldn't dare try to give pat answers. I remember in those days, I didn't want religious rhetoric. Don't tell me something you just read in a book. I just wanted somebody to tell me I was going to get through it. Well, can I be the friend today to just come? I don't have pat answers. I think only God in his way, speaking our language, can give us sometimes the answers that don't come with words. They just come with peace or an assurance. But today, I want to show you something that he actually just told me to tell you. And I think that if you'll dig on into it for yourself, you can find some perspective to help you through this moment, all right? One of the things that the Lord laid on my heart to share with you is this. You have two options. Now, I love options in all things of life. And when I think about your two options that really all of us have, here's your first one. First option you have right now in this place that you're living in is despair. You can just give up and stay in the despair. You can just give up and just say, you know what, it's the way things are, life is life, it is what it is, just got to accept it and go on somehow. Figure out how to live with this. And you know, normally you look at that and you think, Miss Karen, no one would choose that, right? Nobody's going to choose. Well, the truth is, sweetheart, and you can look around like I do, I think a lot of people choose that. They just don't know they've chosen it. You can look at their life and see that. Because it doesn't matter whether you serve God or don't serve God, all of us deal with these kind of places in our life. And you can see from their fruit which of these two options they have chosen. Because whenever you're dealing with pain, you're either going to choose the second option that we're about to talk about, or you're going to find something to numb the pain or escape the pain. So a lot of people just numb it with drugs or substance or abuse or alcohol or anything to just numb what they're feeling, even if it's just for a little while and start all over tomorrow. A lot of people just escape the pain. More television, one show after another show after another show, for day after day after month after year, until they just watch shows, whether it's Netflix or anything, to just escape their reality. I've seen people just so addicted to the computer, anything to escape it, anything to escape what they're having to face, or just a workaholic. Just let me work, anything to get this off my mind so that I will ignore the pain. So they're going to either numb it, you're going to ignore it, but one way or the other. When you choose the path of despair and doubt and unbelief and just giving in, the situation is not going to change. And the pain remains. Often just takes deep, bitter root until it affects your entire body. That's why a lot of people are sick and have even diseases and things that just attacks the body, because ultimately, when you choose the path of despair and doubt and unbelief and fear, it ultimately leads to death. Either the death of your life or dreams. That's not the path for you. You don't have to choose that. My sweet friend, can I come today and say to you, don't choose that path. There's a better way. And it's option number 2. Simple as this is, don't hear this as a cliche. You can trust God. In the middle of the pain. I know that sounds like something you've heard before. Hear it again. Number 1, just trust that there is a God. Not just a God, not just a one of many gods. No, there's one God. There's only ever been one God. There's never been another God. There never will be another God. There's only one God right now. There is God. Believe that. And believe that you can trust that God. And believe in the middle of this unspeakable pain and the questions with no answers. Just believe that you can cling to him like we talked about a few weeks ago. Even if you're just clinging to his feet, you're just down there just at his feet, just holding on. Just believe that his perspective is higher than yours. And he can see into the future. And he can see what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. His thoughts are higher than yours. His ways are higher than yours. He's got a perspective. He can see way out there into the future. And you can't see anything but where you are right now. You can't feel anything but the pain you're feeling right now. Maybe it's a physical pain, sickness that's been here a long time. The pain of a prodigal, the pain of an unfaithful spouse, the deep betrayal, the pain of that. There's nothing, and in those moments you just wonder, even is there a God? Because if there's a God, how could he let me feel this? And maybe you've been battling with that today, and the Lord just came to tell me, honey, just believe in what you do not see. Believe in a God that you cannot see. Trust a voice that in the natural you cannot hear. Even if it's just coming through a friend, a front porch lady. Just trust. Trust in that God. By faith, just trust that he's real. Trust that he has a higher perspective that you can believe in. Trust that he sees you. Trust that he loves you. Even when you can't feel that love or understand why a God that would love you so much would let you go through this. Well, you know something I was thinking about today. I was thinking about Joseph. Joseph sitting in his pit. His brothers had thrown him in the pit. Egyptians were about to come and take him out, and he was going to be sold into slavery. You know, if I could have, I'd love to have gone and looked down in that pit when Joseph was down in it. And here he is down there battling with, the pain and the hurt. He was spent the entire night battling with hurt and hatred, probably toward the brothers that put him there. I'd kind of like to have gone up and said, "Hey, Joseph, listen, trust me, it's going to be all right. You're going to get out of this pit." Well, he did get out of the pit, but it got worse, and he ended up in prison. And you know that story. I don't have time to tell it right now. But here he is sitting in this prison, not just for a day or two, it's years, and he's young. And he's battling in that prison with, dear God, I'm going to die here. What happened to my dreams? What happened to the God of my fathers? What happened to ever believing in anything? He's in the prison, just battling with despair and depression. But I would love to have gone over to that prison and stood in those bars and said, "Hey, Joe, listen to me. I'm from 2023. And there's this book that you're in, Joseph. It's a book written, and you're in the book, Joseph. Listen, you got to believe me, Joseph. Someday you're coming out of this. And you got to just keep believing in the God of your father and the God of your grandfather, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. Hey, Joseph, trust me in this one. Keep believing, Joseph. Don't give in to despair, Joseph. Don't give in to the voices that's telling you there's no God. Don't give in to the voices that's telling you he doesn't see you in this prison. Hey, Joseph, press into his voice more than ever. Because he's got a plan. And believe me, I've read the end of your story, and you're coming out of this. Not only are you coming out of this, you're not even going to believe what's about to happen to you. And Joseph, God's going to use you to save your people and your nation. Now, I'd love to have told him that. But the truth is, even if I could go back in time, God would not have let me. Why? Because what Joseph was dealing with was necessary. The pain was necessary. The prison of that pain was necessary to make him into what God had ultimately called him to be. A leader that was going to save a nation. And there was no other way but to take him to the end of himself. Here he is, full of talent, full of ability, good looks. He had everything going for him. But that wasn't going to be enough for him to fulfill his purpose. He was going to have to learn to go deep, 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 deep within himself and resolve a lot of the issues in his heart and get to the place when there's no answers to all the questions. You can ultimately trust God, that he's real. And I don't know how he's going to get me out of here, but someday he will. I don't know how Joseph dealt with all that to get him there, but I believe he got there. So much so that not only was he able to lead his nation, but he was able to look at the brothers that put him into that mess, into that pit of horrors, and sold him out and betrayed him deeply. God had done such a work in his heart, and the only way it could have been done was the school of pain. God had done such a work deep inside Joseph that as he clawed the ground of that prison, he got to a place finally he could look at those brothers and feel no more hatred. And I believe even the hurt was healed to the point that he could look at all of them and say from his heart, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. My sweet friend, that day is coming for you. This won't last forever. It won't. We've read it many times, haven't we? It's in the book of James. I'm just going to read it to you again because I know we've read it over and over. It's James, the first chapter. Look at it. Let's look at it again. James 1. And it says, my brethren, I like to say my dear front porch friends. Let's read it again. New Living Translation. Look, sweetheart. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, that's where you are right now, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. That's what's happening in you right now. You say, why? When? I can't tell you when. I don't know. But I know this. It's not forever. You will come out of this if you'll choose the path of trust. If you'll choose that choice. You will come through this, as he said, complete and needing nothing. Meaning, I have learned to live utterly dependent upon God and find in him my everything. You'll know the path of peace and forgiveness and mercy. I'm telling you. And I have a great testimony to share. One more. Look at 1 Peter, the first chapter and the 6th verse. Be truly glad, for there's wonderful joy ahead. Hear that, honey. Even though you have to endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. Why? You're saying, I don't understand. God can be trusted, that he is not letting any of this go to waste. Now, if you live in despair, that is wasted time. But if you live in trust, he's not going to waste one moment of this trial. He's not going to waste one drop of it. He's going to take every drop of this trial. Every tear is going to be collected. Everything about your heart right now, and even the pain itself, he's going to use it all. And he considers it precious, more precious than gold to God. Why? Because you've learned to trust him. And he's going to receive great glory for your life. Bob Sorge, my dear, dear friend and favorite author. I've told you over and over. Any book he's ever written, you should read it. Just period. He just released this book called Sometimes We Need Trials. I was reading it today as I was thinking about this word I was hearing actually before I even thought about this book. But it's such a good book. And I just wanted to recommend it to you. In fact, let me just read you one little sentence in here. You can order this book on my website, KarenWheaton.com or theramp.org. I'll have them to put up the info right there. But look at this. Let me just read to you this little part right here. Some people will likely look at your difficulty and say to you, that's not right. This should have never happened to you. But from God's perspective, it's the trial that is making you who you are. Now listen to that. But from people are saying, that should have never happened to you. That's not fair. But from God's perspective, it's the trial that's making you who you are. It's producing in you more fruit to God than ever. And it's revealing God's redemption in your family. Your co-workers. People are going to be affected by watching your faith in this trial. This is affecting more people than you. On the final day, when you're standing before the throne. Oh, I love this. I imagine the question being asked, is this person's faith genuine? And then I imagine the answer. Look at her faith. In fact, I wish I could be the person to say that about you. When you stand before God and the question is asked, was her faith genuine? I wish I could look at my front porch friend and look at God and the angels and all of heaven and say, look at her faith. She had circumstances against her. Her finances against her, Satan against her, hell against her, temptation against her, her flesh against her, the world against her, people against her, her health against her, even her family and friends against her. And yet, look how she stood. She never backed down. She praised you, God, even when heaven was silent. She loved you, God, even when she couldn't see you or feel you. Lord, she is the real deal. This is true faith. I believe that's what's going to be said about you, because you, my sweet front porch friend, you are never going to choose despair. You are going to choose to trust. That's the word I heard for you. I heard the Lord tell me to tell you. Tell her or him to trust me. I know. You've heard that before. No. This is a fresh word today. I want you to hear it from the heart of God. That's what he said to tell you. He said, tell her, tell him, trust me. You've been asking a lot of questions. Why? He says, trust me. When will it be over? He says, trust me. You said, well, I don't understand. Trust me. He said, why is this happening to me, to my marriage, to my child, to my body, to our finances? And he just says, trust me. He can see beyond it. Joseph, from this prison, he's seeing out there ahead of it. He sees what's coming. That's your Father seeing for you. I cannot guarantee that in this life you'll have all the answers, but he's going to help you understand. I want to tell you one thing really quick. I remember in that season with Lindsay, when it was coming to the end of the season, and I didn't even know it was coming to the end of it. I'd been in this for years with her, and not just with Lindsay, but other things in our ministry that we were battling. It was just a storm that, to be really honest with you, besides the Lindsay part, the financial part, the relational part, the betrayal of friends, these different things, it was a 10-year battle for me. And it was just in that one season, just that one in 2010 to, well, till not that long ago. But at the end of it, I had this dream. And I dreamed one night, and like I said, I didn't even know I was coming to the end of it. I did not know. When I had the dream, I did not know it was almost over. And I dreamed one night that I was climbing a mountain. And in the dream, the mountain, started off like normal, like this. But as the dream went on, and I was climbing it, the mountain went completely vertical. And my climb went from climbing like this up a mountain to absolutely climbing a vertical wall, but it was rock like a mountain. And in the dream, I was taking my hands and I would just grab part of the rock and I would just pull. But at the end of the dream, it was everything in my spirit, everything in my body. It would take all the strength I had to just climb up 1 inch. And I would put my hands high as I could get them like this. And I would just pull 1 inch for one more, everything I had to go 1 inch. And then all of a sudden in the dream, I reached up my hands like this to reach up for grabbing the rock one more time. But this time, I grabbed the top of the mountain. And I couldn't hardly believe in the dream. I'm at the top of the mountain. And I pulled my whole body to the top of the mountain. And I was walking around like this thinking, and in the dream I was going, I can't believe I'm on the top of the mountain. I can't believe it. And then I looked down and all of a sudden the mountain turned crystal clear. And instead of just being solid rock, it was like I was standing on a rock that I could see from the top all the way to the bottom. It was completely clear. And I believe the Lord was telling me, Karen, you're at the end of this trial. And when you get to the top, and you're almost there, Karen, you're going to understand why. Because climbing it, the only thing I could see was this, what was directly in front of my face, and the fact it was taking all of my strength to just move. But this is all I could see. But here's the deal. I kept moving. I kept climbing, and I didn't give up, and I didn't drop into despair. I just kept pulling with everything I had in me to get one more inch. And then one day it was over. And I could look down and tell you, I've been there. You're going to reach the top of this mountain. And you're going to look down. And you're going to understand why. And I don't know if it will be fully understood in this life. Maybe it will be, but maybe it won't. But I remember years ago, my sweet little grandmother, I'm going to close with this. She used to sing a song. And while I'm singing this little song, start commenting. And just start putting, I'm trusting Jesus, I'm trusting Jesus. And start just putting whatever words you're hearing right now. Maybe, Lord, I'm trusting you. God, I trust you when I don't see you. Even when I can't see it, he's working. Just start putting, comment something for the sake of our agreement, okay, honey? Don't forget to do that. Then my grandmother used to sing this song. I wrote down the words for you real quick. Listen. This was the last verse. She used to sing, trials dark on every hand, and we cannot understand all the ways that God would lead us to that blessed promised land. But he'll guide us with his eye, and we'll follow till we die, and we'll understand it better by and by. Temptations, hidden snares often take us unaware, and our hearts are made to bleed by some thoughtless word or deed. And we often wonder why the test when we've tried to do our best. But we'll understand it better by and by. Oh, by and by, when the morning comes, when all the saints of God are gathered home, we will tell the story of how we've overcome, and we'll understand it better by and by. Lord, strengthen my sweet friend's faith right now to keep holding on. I pray, God, that you will give her insight or give him faith to believe right now, God, that you see them and that you love them and that there's a better day coming. God, I thank you that today they are renewed in hope that the prodigal is coming home, the marriage is restored, bodies are healed, a way is made in Jesus' name. All right. Oh, I've gone so over my time. Oh, I'm sorry. But listen, I need you to comment so that it'll be our point of agreement and share this message with a friend. Would you do that, honey? I love you very much. I look forward to reading your comments. Keep believing. Keep trusting. It's going to be all right. Bye-bye.